Hi, everybody. I am not distracted right now, I swear. Welcome in. Before we get started, as we trickle in, as this gets going, quick reminder, please join in the conversation. We want to hear from you. By joining in the conversation, we do this live so that we can hear from you. And by joining in the conversation, we appreciate you, and it shows us that what we're doing is effective, and also it's how you support us if you like what we're doing. So please comment, subscribe, and like. It's the only way we know we're doing a good job. So please, 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 we want to hear from you. And that is all from me. Who's up?
Oh, someone's making an appearance now.
Oh, is it a cat? Oh, it is. It's Danger.
Not a real person.
Also, I have my 5-cent tarot with me, so for my costume. You can't say our names. Do they come back?
No. Yeah, they will when I take this.
There we go.
Like, it makes more sense now. Well,
We are continuing our scary.
at the end of the stream, I'll read everybody a tarot card. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yes, we are doing Scary 101, continuing. Last time we did the dangers of the self-help world, or the bad side of I can't remember our title, but it was about self-help. Now we're talking about Machiavellianism. And are you a Machiavellian coach?
Or is your coach a
Is your
Machiavellianist, right?
Yes.
Or how does this affect you? These traits, just things to know.
It's a very long title for this live, is what we have. Hello,
Yes.
enjoying success, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
So, what are we talking about when we're talking about? Well, let's even step it back. Who is Machiavelli? It's not just a made-up word. He's an Italian man, Niccolo Machiavelli. I believe he's Italian.
He wrote a 3-hour book.
It's yeah, that's what he did.
Like that.
Is that how book length is gauged by
He
any hour?
created in 1532 a 3-hour audiobook, which we all listen to, called The Prince. And in it, he goes over the best way, I believe, statesmen can practice statecraft. How leaders and rulers should rule their people if they want to be effective and powerful leaders. Now, how did we get 500 years after that? There came the dark triad personality types, which a lot of psychologists still use currently today to find out who is disagreeable and bad. And they came up with the 3 triads, which is narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. We're not going to be really talking about... Oh, I shouldn't flip off the camera. We're not going to be talking about the other 2. We're going to be focusing on Machiavellianism. Yes, Jen, we can hear your Slack.
Great.
Knock that off. Put in some headphones. So, what is Machiavellianism as a trait? How do we identify people as Machiavellian? I'm going to have a hard time with this
one of the simplest way to say it is that the means justify the ends, or the ends justify the means. The other way around. There we go. Yeah.
And if they have to lie, cheat, steal, murder, manipulate, anything they can to get that.
I mean, we jumped to murder pretty fast.
Yeah, that was just kind of lumped that in there with all the...
to murder.
Well, we're talking about like in day-to-day people's lives, not in like heads of state and presidents, because then, murder's on the table. But, in normal life, in our day-to-day life, when we meet someone like at work or at school, or I can't imagine where else you would meet these kind of people. The grocery store.
Just work in school. Just about anywhere, right? We don't know. I mean, I almost didn't dress up because I was just going to say I'm coming as a Machiavellian person. You never know. Although my costume might very well be people. But it's not.
Stress this in right now. We don't know what Niccolo Machiavelli.
My cat is eating my cane. The I'm distracted by danger.
Oh, that's great. That's
Really
really,
eat the
really
cane.
amusing.
Oh my gosh. You can just watch the cat eat the cane. Forget
I can't focus on anything else right now. Sorry. Okay, so we sort of touch on it a little bit. The means justify the ends, right? Or the
Ends
ends
justify the means.
Oh my God, ends justify the means. What does that mean, even? Let's break that down a little bit, shall we?
So that's kind of like a utilitarian philosophy. Like whatever the outcome is of a decision or an event or a course of action, as long as it benefits me or benefits the overall goal that I'm working towards, I can do whatever I want to get it. So if my goal is to make a lot of money and be prosperous, then I can do whatever I want. I can lie. I can try to scam people. I can, work 80 hours a week and ignore my friends and family and my children. Doesn't matter. As long as I get to my goal, that's all that counts.
I think a big part of this is also that they value their definition of success or money, power over human beings and other human beings. Like that, what's most important to them is that they are working towards whatever it is that they need or want or their desires. Those are prioritized over basically anything to do with a human being, and people are looked at for
How useful you are.
how useful you are to them,
Mhm.
and how you can benefit them, and that's sort of an important trait in this. Have you guys ever interacted with somebody who was kind of Machiavellian?
Wait. We
Yeah,
all
that-
have. Right?
That's
I
part
mean-
of my job as when I'm interviewing people is figuring out how useful they are to CLCI.
Oh,
Absolutely, like part of the job.
Jen,
Mhm.
you
Yes.
said yes.
Oh yeah, I realized when we were doing this research that I've had previous bosses with this. What do we want to call it? A personality type? Because it's not a disorder. It's
No.
just a series of traits. Is that reasonable to say, you think?
Yeah,
it's a way of like making decisions as well. Like a person can choose to be Machiavellian in some regards, and then they can choose
So it
not
could be
to.
a mindset.
Yes, it could be a mindset.
Yes. That's really interesting. It's got me thinking about how sometimes I assess, are my thoughts useful? And it's got me wondering, is that like a Machiavelli tactic that I'm using? Because sometimes I'll have thoughts and it's like, well, that's just normal human thought, but like, is it useful? Because if it's not useful, I don't want to keep it. Truly, I want to try to cultivate,
Now apply that reasoning to people.
yeah, that's kind of the difference, right? You're
Okay.
thinking that's your thoughts, right? So
No. I'm arguing that it is kind of a Machiavellian way to deal with yourself and your internal thoughts, because, of course, if you apply the same thinking to people, you're a psychopath. You shouldn't treat people like that. But like, why are we not okay with doing that to people, but for some reason we're okay with doing that to ourselves?
I really have a hard time taking you seriously with a clown nose on.
It's hard to breathe through this nose. Like I'm having to breathe through my mouth.
I think you can take the nose off and still.
No, it's part of the costume.
Okay.
So wait, so what do we think the difference is then with taking that mindset and applying it? Like to me, when I'm applying that, it's for good. It's not for harm. It's to find, a way to move forward that not only serves me, but ultimately I am considering how does it serve others? I'm choosing a useful thought based on how it impacts me and others.
I think that's different though.
Yeah.
I don't think what you're saying is I'm doing it to the higher self perspective which I consider others in that process.
Well, I mean, you could even still though argue that Machiavellian people by proxy, if I'm on a Machiavellian person's team and I'm doing well and I'm on their good side, right? They're gonna take care of me because they know that that benefits them, right? So they're gonna do what they need to do. So they might consider me a bit in that process. Well, Brooke will really be into that because of X, Y, and Z. And so let's, you know, I'm going to do that. But it's still, so I don't think this is something though that we want to just say it's like any application of this is bad. Because there are absolutely elements in it that probably are a little useful.
Yeah.
I think it's again a
Well,
matter of
not
polarized.
just a little bit useful. I think it's been incredibly useful for the past 500 years, and people who are heads of state with or companies with tremendous amount of power, they're like, this is the book that you read. Like, this is how you keep power and get the goals that you want. Everything else is beside the point.
I mean, if you think about to a great deal, if we take it to like how countries are formed and everything, they're all formed on the deaths of the prior residents, right? And at that point, we're making choices about and saying this is the best means to the end.
Lex Luthor, Machiavellian.
Yeah.
So I mean, it definitely is something that is very prevalent.
Anyone who's bald, really.
Do you think that people forgive of the dark triad? So we have psychopathy, we have narcissism. Do you think that people are more they are more okay with a Machiavellian type human than the other traits?
Yeah. I would lean you're saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I would lean that way too, just because
you can because you can get on board with a Machiavellian. You can, you know, hop on their bandwagon and let them take you to wherever they want to go, which might be, you know, great places. You might, if you're in their good graces, you might enjoy the benefits of their success as well. Whereas a narcissist is really all they care about is themselves and their own self-image. And a psychopath, I mean, they're not great, but they're not the worst either, really. Like, they're just kind of emotionally maybe stunted.
Yeah, they're a little
in regards to things.
Unpredictable. Machiavellianism is probably more predictable of the traits too, and I think it's also a little, in at least Western culture, a little more encouraged. Yeah, almost. Absolutely, it is. Because we are such a success-based country, right? We're so like we measure the success of human beings in what they do for a living and how much money they make in many ways, and that in itself, I think, kind of encourages a degree of Machiavellianism in people.
What profession do we think has the most of this trait?
What?
What profession? Like, I was thinking about
politics.
Politics, yeah.
Politicians, CEOs,
billionaires,
and
Apple, Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that's a profession, Steve Jobs.
Well, yeah, but seriously though, he
spot's vacant now.
Even Edison, I would say, was hugely Machiavellian.
Military.
Yeah.
They have to be, right?
Yeah.
Everyone curious how people are finding clients.
Hi,
well,
Frank.
We're talking about Machiavellianism, so we'll get into the
possibly
the worst possible
that might
ways
help
to
the
find
clients if you add a little Machiavellian your marketing.
lying to people. That's a good way.
Frank, we have a ton of marketing videos that if you want to reference, we have a bunch of them on our YouTube channel, also on our Facebook. It looks like you're commenting from Facebook, so I highly encourage you to check those out. But I understand that we've talked about it probably more than any other subject. So check it out. Look at those Facebook's videos. There's lots of help there. There really is.
We'll get into that in our marketing section on Machiavellianism.
Yes, that's right. I mean, we've done a bunch. So if you look for the lunch and learns, those are really helpful. And then also if you look for we do marketing 101. We do different themed spaces. So please check that out.
Certified Life Coach
want to support you through that. Our YouTube channel is I believe it's Certified Life Coach Institute. We can drop a link to it in there right now. Jerome, can you do that for me?
You got it.
Awesome. And it's awesome because they are organized on the YouTube channel by category to help you with that. So have fun. So I understand. I'm looking over. I'm going to just sort of go through the traits of a Machiavellian person, and this is going off of. I just have an article in front of me. It's from Very Well Mind. I'm certain I can probably pull up a million other articles that say the same thing in different ways, but these are just some traits, and I'm curious as I go through these. What we think about them with regard to coaching. So focusing only on their own goals and interests.
So as far as coaching goes, it sounds great. It's like, okay, we're working with goals. But in terms of like going further in coaching, like there's a certain point where if you want to improve, you have to coach the person, not the problem. And you're shifting from goal-oriented coaching to person-oriented coaching. So that hyper focus on goals is only going to get you so far.
Which is funny because it's one of those things that has given coaches a bad name. It's something that J.K. Rowling, I think, railed on coaches about because she doesn't really know. She's never been coached really, so she only knows her understanding coaching comes from a surface level, right? So from what she's heard and what her impression is. And that is sort of an impression that coaches get is that we're just goal oriented and we're pushing people to be goal oriented. And it's not, it almost feels when coaching is displayed like that we are less empathetic, right? We just are pushing people regardless of what is good for them towards goals and setting goals. And it's kind of this very flippant and almost very glossed over impression of what coaching is. It really is not true, but it's something to think about as we discuss this, that these are the kind of things that have been thrown around with regard to coaching by other people.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Anthony, you yourself, if I remember correctly, used to have a poor perception of coaching prior to taking our classes. Isn't that correct?
Still do.
I was just going to say, you're setting it up because you know what he's going to answer.
Yeah, I'm talking about the coaching industry as a whole, not the International Coaching Federation. I learned that there's a difference now, but still there's a lot of coaches out there who still give coaching a bad name because of those reasons.
I watched briefly that one show that you, Brooke, and Anthony watched and were abhorred that they're calling themselves coaches.
Oh my God.
The twin soul people.
Yeah, the further you get into that, the worse. It just gets worse. It's painful. Your toes curl. So the next trait sort of coming up is prioritizing success, power, money, and fame above all else.
Okay. So those are fine goals to have. I'm not going to harp on that if that's what you want. It's the fact that people will link like fulfillment or self-actualization to those goals. I don't see a reason why one leads to the other. If you want power and fame and money, go ahead. Don't think it's going to make you happy or fulfilled.
Do you think this is something that coaches do?
Yes, they'll promise that. Especially to like the CEO, executive, business coaches who are also like coaching other people.
The coaches that are coaching other coaches. Yeah.
I think the untrained ones. I think if you have been trained and you still choose to go down that path, then you're not a coach, right? You're just not coaching.
Mm-hmm. Millionaires talk to psychiatrists too. True story. Having no qualms about deceiving or lying to others.
Oh.
No.
We're asking if this is a trait of coaches, right? Or a common trait? I missed the beginning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just sort of seeing if any of these apply to coaching. I know that's a hard no, but I do have just playing the devil's advocate here.
So this one to me, what stands out is when a coach uses marketing tactics that are not able to be validated. So like, I only have one slot left. Meanwhile, I have like 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How is the person supposed to know? I create that sense of urgency, and I don't care because it's about to put money in my pocket. It's about to get me a client.
Or
that concerns me.
Coaches who I've seen this happen all the time. Are saying that they make 7 figures. And they give you the impression that it was they had a degree of success. It was their coaching business that got them to that, when in fact a great deal of the time it's not to do with their coaching business. They're actually hinging the success on their prior business, and utilizing that. And they've since become a coach and are now sort of blurring those lines, and then promising to do the same for others, and in a field that maybe they have no idea how to be successful in 100%. And I've seen this firsthand quite a bit. Coaching coaches who coach other coaches. Yeah.
What if I'm a client who wants to use lying in my sessions to achieve my goals?
That's your prerogative.
I'm not sure how you would be successful.
well, hold on. Let I want someone to coach me.
There is kind of a fuzzy line here, though. Truthfully, because
I want someone to coach me on something very quickly. So someone want to be my coach.
Okay, sure.
I want to get a job at a very exclusive company. They're looking for a project director, manager guy. But they require that I have a master's degree. And I want to try to get that job. I'm thinking that I should forge a master's degree from like an institution of higher education, because I'm pretty good at doing that. And most of these places don't really check anyways. And if I get the job, then I win, and they can check later. Maybe I'll get fired. But I think it's in my best interest, since I have all this other experience and background, that I forge the master's. What do you think?
As a client, I don't think anyone wants.
What I think really doesn't matter in this situation. Okay. This is about you, Anthony. So
yeah, good job.
Cool. I'll do that now.
Tell me, or Chuckleface, tell me what you, what the goal of this session right now is.
Well, I want to make sure that I'm, hitting all my bases with this application, that I'm going to take the time to forge this document, make sure it's, a perfect replica of a master's degree from, I don't know, let's say Stanford. I'm not going to go crazy and say Harvard or Harvard. I'll step it back a little bit. So I want to make sure that I take the time to do this right.
What I'm hearing you say is you want to figure out that you want to take this session to figure out if you are filling out this application correctly.
Yep.
What does that look like in the bounds of this session?
So just, making a list of things that I need to do in regards to my actual resume versus the stuff I need to fabricate. Okay,
so you want to create a list.
Yep.
All right. Well, what's the first thing on that list?
It's probably I already kind of have a resume. It needs updating. I think I need to start working on the fabrication of a master's degree.
Okay. So we can keep going, and I could try to get behind it, but we all know this is like a fake coaching situation. But
can I ask a question to Anthony that I would have asked immediately?
Yeah.
Anthony, is that an action that feels like it's in alignment with your values?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. I knew that.
Then I would probably keep coaching.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm not going to honestly, who am I to judge?
I'm not going to judge.
That gets real. I'm out of the coaching session now. That's real interesting.
Yeah. Well,
because I don't know as a coach if that's illegal or not.
It is legal.
I think it's legal. I'm not going to get in trouble with it, but it seems very.
But it's not your actions or your actions, and it's really on the company to figure out. Interview you. There's all these steps. You're going to have to live with the consequences of your decision, whatever that may be, and however it comes out. it's not outright breaking the law.
And I would, so, you know, what you're saying is accurate. However, I'm going to go to, it's beyond my scope of practice for me, because I don't want to coach that.
Also, you need to consider, like, as a coach, you're beholden to the ICF code of ethics or whatever.
But let's also
do
say,
good rather than do harm. But hold on.
no,
Hold on 1 second. I'm on a train of thought. If for some reason in the future your client's actions, however unethical, were found to be unethical, and that reflected back on you as a coach professionally, you need to make that consideration that even though we say as coaches we're not responsible for the client's success, other people might not see that the same way.
But there's another piece though too. Like, this is one gross oversimplification. Let's say that client has 20 years of experience, had gotten all the way up to the point of getting that degree, but on top of that has been successful in a ton of other ways. Is it right for them to forge? No. Would I talk them out of applying for that job even though it required a master's? No.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a chance that they could get around that baseline
requirement in the first place.
Yeah. And so I think that with you is a kind of cartoony example, right, where you aren't a real person that's going to give me true answers and dig deep as to your value and valuing what you have to offer based on a master's degree. I think that with a real human being, that session could have gone to a coaching the person, where we discuss, you know, if they figure out that what they have to offer is the equivalent or more to a master's, and then and if they still want to apply.
And mostly
and I've heard that is successful too. So what you presented, Brooke, here, that being in a way for them to be able to voice that and show how that's equivalent, definitely a go-to. Go ahead, Anthony.
I would also, I mean, of course, we're going to say I cannot sign off or encourage or be complicit to any illegal activity, period.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable with that ever.
More so the point of this exercise was to see,
my cats are knocking things down. Sorry.
When are you complicit in a client's lying, essentially, or acting unethically? Even if the stakes are not legality, let's just say.
Well, and this is one of the questions on that is directly in the coaching exam, or was brought up as an ethical question. We've been down this road. I think I can't remember which live it was on, but it was definitely one where we discussed that, where you have a client that comes to you and says, so I have my wife and I have a girlfriend, and I also have a job. And the issue right now is there's no problem with the fact that I'm cheating on my wife. This is not what this session is about. What this session is about is me trying to figure out how to organize my time to keep my wife, my girlfriend, and my job.
That wasn't a coaching question from the
no,
that's not.
That was an Anthony example.
No, it was an example given in an ICF article. It was an example given in an ICF article about when, like, what point do we judge as a coach? Yeah. What do we do? Can we coach this client? And because that client sees no problem with, he has said, this is not about my girlfriend or my wife and that thing. That's not what this is about. And we are applying our own moral judgment. If we dig into that, if our client said, that's not what this is about, I want to be coached on this other thing, it's not for us as the coach to decide what is moral in that client's life. And so it is this sort of gray area that we get into where we're like, So I think that the hard line is this, with this lying bit, right, is one, what do we feel comfortable with as a coach, and can we coach with, obviously we're not complicit to breaking the law, but if it's not, no laws are being broken, can we coach in a space and hold a space of no judgment? And the moment we can't do that, we're compromised as a coach, and so we refer out.
Yeah.
That was just one trick we were talking about, which is lying.
just lying. So, but then the other piece of this I wanted to bring up in this space of lying is kind of something that we as coaches do sometimes, and I don't know if is this an ends that justify the means situation, where is we it's been talked about that sometimes we can present examples of or use metaphors for things that aren't actual, that may be based on something we've done a success, we've had some work we've already done with a previous client or something along those lines, where when we're not being 100% honest with our clients because we can't talk about certain things and we are mirroring, so it's just an interesting space.
But are we trying to manipulate them? Because that's
we are kind of deceiving our clients a little bit, right? A little bit.
But is that manipulation? Are we doing
kinda,
to manipulate them to make them see it from a different point of view, or were we giving them an opportunity through the metaphor to associate? I mean, what?
I'm kind of confused what you're referring to, Brooke. Can you give me an example?
I'm trying to think of a good example of it. It's just something that has been discussed in the past where it's been brought up. It's in our book. Essentially, if you don't understand it, you don't understand it. I can't think of it right now. My brain is like drawing a total blank, but it's essentially, when we would mirror, or when we would, where we are stuffing our emotions down, our perspectives down, doing all these things, in order to facilitate the space for the client and the client growth and all of that. We are never presenting our opinions, although we have them, and they may be asking about them. And at what point is that a deceiving? You know what I mean? Or is it? And I understand. I'm just being a bit of a devil's advocate here, because we're being a coach in that moment. We're not being ourselves. Does that constitute a deceit?
No, because it's about staying in the coaching mindset. And so there's some stuff that's not going to be of a coaching mindset that's appropriate to bring into the space. I don't think.
I don't think you even have to be deceptive about that. That's like kind of like from the beginning, you establish that as a coach with your client. And if there ever comes an opportunity where they ask your opinion, say, well, my opinion is not part of the coaching session. We're asking about how you feel about this and where this relates to your goal or whatever.
Well, it's a moment too for a deeper coaching moment, right?
Yeah.
Why does my opinion matter to you?
If I give you my opinion, what will it change for you?
Yeah.
What difference could it make for you? Like, just even trying to figure out, does it even matter?
Yeah.
Half the time it does.
It's a great coaching moment there that we would take it. Just throwing it out there. We'll go to the next one, which is, this is an interesting one, because I think I'll see. I'm just going to say it, and then you guys run with it and see if you get to what I'm thinking. Being opinions cost extra.
I love that one. I think that's the one to use.
Opinions cost extra. They require a separate contract as well, because it's advising at that point. Yeah. So, and I charge a lot more. Being charming and using flattery to their advantage.
Middle. I mean, you've got to at least be charming, I think, to maintain some sort of chemistry in that session. But not charming isn't the right word, I guess I would use. I don't think.
Like, charming is a personality trait. Like, you can just be a charming person by virtue of who you are.
Warm and authentic, and just show up as like fully you. And to some people, you'll be very charming.
I don't think that being charming is a bad thing. Like, I don't think there's a negative thing there. But I think the piece that's important is to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, if you're going out of your way to be charming, that's
right
where it's deceiving.
So
I don't know about that. I think being charming as a way to leverage some advantage for yourself, like in a workplace situation or a business situation, go ahead.
Wait, no, are we still talking about coaching though?
We're talking about coaching, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, like,
how charming are you
coach,
in your sessions, Anthony?
I'm very charming.
But this
I
is,
wear very nice outfits, and
don't you think this is exactly why it's deliberately outlined through ICF that coaches don't give compliments?
Well, it was charming, and what was the second part of what you
And
said?
using flattery.
That might be harder to get away with.
And it's the same. I mean, I think they can be applied, but that's a thing. Like we can be smiling and welcome, but it even gets to the point that they're telling you, you know, we've got to watch when we get it deeper in there, our mm-hms and our the moments we agree with our clients or the good jobs, because it can start to be a power. There can be a power dynamic that starts to tip when there's too much of that going on, and I think it's an honest mistake coaches, especially new coaches, especially untrained coaches, make, and they don't consider that it can actually cause a lot more harm than good. They think they're doing a lot of good, which is
what if I'm coaching Jerome and he's like coming in, this is the very start of the session. I'm like, Jerome, that is a awesome beard. By the way, I just wanted to take some time to compliment you on your beard. Like I'm doing a little bit of flattery to grease the wheels at the start, and then okay, now let's go into coaching.
But hold on, what if you're saying it because you genuinely like his beard?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
It's flattery still.
What if I don't want to hear that? No, seriously.
I mean,
I'm being very serious. What if I didn't?
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you because there are, especially sometimes when people don't want to be complimented on certain things, that they actually are bothered by that. That's a
so.
thing.
I mean, that's my question.
Shave your beard. Then.
Rainbow Clown tell you he really likes your beard might be a little off-putting.
Yeah. Well, and also
that might be like I'm mocking you if I'm wearing this. But
why do you feel the desire to tell Jerome that you like his beard?
Well, I wouldn't.
I'm curious, you know.
If it was you, Brooke, if I was typically, I mean, this, and you guys tell me what you think about this, but I'm not going to compliment a man.
Uh-huh.
As a woman, I'm not going to do that. I don't feel that that's appropriate in the space. But woman to woman, if we have a rapport and, you know, I sense that, oh, Brooke, your hair looks amazing. I can
flattery
tell you got it done.
Right there.
But if that's before the session, I don't see the harm in it.
I will.
But you guys,
I know you as a coach don't see the harm in it, Jen. But what about Brooke, the client?
Well, again, if we have a rapport, right? I'm not just going to say that the first session. I'm not going to say anything like that in the first session.
I agree with you. I think that if you have a rapport, that's like a different circumstance. But I also see
it's to their advantage is really what it is, right? To their advantage is the big piece there. So if I'm doing that, knowing, oh, well, this will make her connect with me, and it's that extra piece where I'm like, really, I'm really piecing it together. I'm like, okay, no matter what she looks like, I'm going to compliment something.
Also,
and I'm going
to let you all know,
nice, because I know that will soften the room and connect us.
People who are Machiavellian, who, like, let's say they've read The Prince, specifically says avoid flatterers. So if you have the misfortune of trying to flatter someone for your own advantage and they're also a Machiavellian person, they're going to immediately be like, knock it off. Like, do not, I see right through you. I see what you're trying to do and it's not working.
Yeah.
So trying to do it for your advantage might have the exact opposite effect.
Yeah, that's interesting. But no, if I'm ever giving a compliment like that, it is based on rapport, first and foremost, and it is completely authentic, and there is no motive behind it other than a genuine moment with that client. You still don't know if it's appropriate, huh?
Well, if the rapport is built, then go ahead, do as you wish. I've just we're talking to new coaches.
All my clients.
Probably don't do that. Don't ever compliment them.
And
if you have your humanness in a moment with the client prior to a session, after a session, that's not in the session. The session is all about the client. The humanness of connection, just having fun kind of concept that it's not to our advantage. I think
now you're marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of flattery towards your potential clients will help. Like, only smart, discerning clients will choose to coach with me. Only people with IQs over 130 will coach with Coach Chuckleface.
And I agree with you, Sai. The intention is important thing here, and
Yeah.
I mean, we can keep going through this list, and I think, you know, we can take any of it and apply it in one way or another to coaching. But again, that's a really good point. The big part of this is the intention, although we are kind of saying the ends justifies the means a little bit when we say that. But it's interesting, though, is, you know, as I read this through this list, these are all things that are very common in our culture. Which is, you know, having a cynical view of human nature. That's prevalent out there. Having a negative attitude, very prevalent. Believing themselves to be superior to others. Having difficulty trusting other people. Being disconnected from their own emotions. Something that's that's something that's encouraged in business, truthfully, right? Struggling to identify and express their feelings. Staying aloof and lacking genuine warmth in social interactions. Avoiding emotional attachments. And being able to read people, we almost encourage that a little bit too. Being able to read people in social situations and using insight to their advantage. Again, something a little bit we do as coaches. But I think that it's not in a way that is dishonest, right? Or is self-serving, sort of. It's just interesting because it is kind of, there are some things that you can dive into in all of this, truthfully. I can't tell at all if Anthony's thinking, because there's a nose in the way. I thought he might want to say something, but I can't just.
No, I'm trying to breathe.
He looks quite pensive, though, I must say.
Flattery. Stop it. So where do we go from here? What about the Machiavellian client who wants to maybe change his ways a little bit? They're stuck in their ways of Machiavellianism, and they need to adjust their worldview and their point of view so that maybe the people around them will start to like them more. They can have better interpersonal relationships.
So they're wanting to stop viewing people as followers or sheep or useful subjects. They're wanting to actually like have real connection with people and honor their humanity. I mean,
which I think is difficult, I will say, speaking from personal experience.
What?
What does that mean?
Well, when you're so used, like, I'm trying to think of, like, I'm thinking of people that I used to work with who were like my superiors or higher ups that, like, I could not imagine how they interact with like normal human beings in like outside the job, because everything else, how they interact with people and how I hear them talk about people, maybe even in personal life, is like, how are I going to use them? How am I going to get what I want out of them? I don't know exactly how. The person has to want to change, obviously. I'm just trying to think of maybe what sort of questions you could ask as a coach to change their views on human beings.
But is that even your job, to change their views?
Yeah.
I mean,
If that's their goal, I'm saying if that's their goal, they're going to have to want this to be their goal.
Consider that's the what, and there'll be a piece for the what in there. It's how do they want to feel? What are they going to notice about themselves? How are they going to be in the moment when they aren't activating Machiavellianism and being in this? And what's this? How do they become that? What is that makeup and boundary that they need to set for themselves?
I think it also will, if we're truly going to be coaching somebody who is Machiavellian, they want to be less so. I think a big part of that coaching is going to be around being transparent and being genuine in the moment. So probably going to work towards them, with regard to flattery, not using, being genuine instead of using flattery to an end. being mindful and being capable of sort of getting out of their own head and starting to just be in situations. For I think a big piece of it is mindfulness, because I imagine the Machiavellian person is always thinking about the end, right? They're not ever in the moment, just sort of enjoying. They're worrying and plotting and figuring out how to get what they need. And that is like the antithesis of being in the moment and the antithesis of living truthfully. It's probably a very exhausting state to be in. So I think a big part of, if you had a client that was Machiavellian and they wanted to be less so, a lot of that work is going to be around them letting go of the ends and being accepting of what is now. And I think that's where a lot of the work would come in those spaces.
I would imagine that also a lot of the work with a client like that would come with reflecting, like getting them to hear what they're saying, making sure, okay, so what I'm hearing you say, well, no, that's not what I said. Usually someone with this personality trait, when you repeat it back, they're like, no, I didn't say that. I imagine there's a lot of reflection that is involved in coaching this type of client. A lot of almost like subtle, what does Dan say? It's like a gentle, like, spotlight of what they just said, calling it to the room gently, right? Something like that. That's what I would think.
I do also think a lot of times if you have a client that is Machiavellian, they're probably going to be drawn to a coach that is okay with that Machiavellian type nature. And so that's the person that they're going to gravitate to, is that Machiavellian coach that's promising them the world and is going to get them there and seems cutthroat and ruthless. And like their clients have been cutthroat and ruthless and have gotten what they wanted. And that's what's going to draw that person in. And the person that is truly looking to change that nature or that behavior is probably going to be drawn to a coach that presents a totally different energy than that one. I would hope.
Well, it's almost like in the dating world, when people talk about going out on dates and what they've been attracted to is not what they want to end up with, right? We're talking really the same thing. And how do we change who we are attracted to? Right? It's really just working on ourselves. That's where that standard comes from. So you're kind of speaking in that language, the dating world as well.
And again, one of the funny things, I think we apply these grand labels to people a lot of times, but that doesn't mean that people can't become self-aware and make conscious choices to change their way of thinking and the way they have been in the past. And I think that they're probably, I would hope in my positive worldview and head, that at some point, all of those Machiavellian type people have some kind of reckoning where they're like, oh, I can't be like this anymore. I know that's really idealistic and probably not true. But, I think of the show Succession.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Machiavellian, like that was the story. That is like a demonstration of Machiavellianism. And not everybody's going to have that reckoning moment. It is a dangerous thing a bit to be, I think, when you're no longer a useful tool, what happens to you? And that's that's kind of a scary piece in all of this.
Run away.
But I do think it is, and I dare say probably to some degree, built in a little bit to all of us, right? I mean, I think we all, at some point or another, every human being on the planet has focused on the ends and probably had some means that they weren't 100% comfortable with or proud of, and then that's how you learn. I'm never doing that again. That wasn't worth it. Things of that nature.
I think the reason why is just because simply it works. Like if it didn't work and it did not show itself to work in real life with real stakes, Machiavellianism wouldn't have been as influential as it has been for the past 500 years. Now, on the opposite end, you need a bit of altruism too. You need to be cooperative with people to because one Machiavellian person can't, take on a world of altruistic people who are going to, say no to the behavior, but it simply works. And we have ethics and rules and guidelines to try to curtail that bad behavior, though, because ultimately we don't want to, as coaches, and the ICF doesn't want to have a world where every coach is lying to each other, lying about their education, saying whatever they want to clients and other coaches to, just make money.
I mean, ICF,
there has to be rules. Yeah.
They exist for that reason. They exist because there's this
The tendency is to do those bad things.
Well, and also a lot of coaching for a long time, and I think we've gotten away from it, but they still exist, especially that documentary again, the Twin Flames documentary. But
it's bad.
Where it's like a pyramid scheme, right? Where come in, it's going to be great, and then you'll be taken care of, but only if you coach these other coaches and get them to come in and educate themselves and pay, and it becomes this thing where everybody's getting everybody all the way down the line, and it is not an honest process. And I think that is something that happened in coaching for a bit, and still does in some areas, and ICF has worked very hard to create standards and rules and expectations of coaching that deviate from all of the things that in the past have given coaches a bad name.
Yeah.
They have a very strong ethical framework. I mean, if you don't have the ICF ethical framework, what is your ethical framework? That's a really good question if you're hiring a coach and they're not trained in ICF accredited training.
Mm-hmm. We are at our time practically. So final thoughts.
It works. Machiavellianism works, but it'll only get you so far in the coaching world and in the ICF world. So learn where it is useful and learn where you're blurring ethical lines and knock it off. That's it. That's my final thought. Keeping it short and sweet.
Yeah, I think it's very complicated, and I think is a good learning, especially when you're working with others, how to recognize it as well.
Jack Sparrow.
I just don't want to say Machiavelli wrong, but my final thought would be, I would agree that there's aspects to this that I kind of came in just doing my research, kind of just being put off completely by Machiavellianism. But as we converse, I think there are some aspects to it that can be beneficial to a human, as long as you're understanding where things could potentially, and that's my big issue is, someone who's a Machiavellianist, they don't care if they hurt other people. That's why my big quarrel about it. But there are some aspects of, behind it that I can see being useful. Like, obviously making sure you're taking care of yourself, which is a good thing. I think you should take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else, because you can't take care of the people around you if you don't take care of yourself. But again, there's still juggling this one. But I'm glad I could walk away with some positives from it, and just a different mind frame than I did coming into this conversation.
Yeah, I think
tarot reading too. Oh, sorry, did not.
What, Jerome?
I was gonna say I want my tarot reading too, Brooke.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Quickly.
No, Jen, final thought.
Yeah, Jen, final thoughts. Not
I was
skipping.
going to say that, I guess it's like most things. There's an application, right? This concept can be applied. This mindset can be applied. But is it in alignment with your values? For me, it's 9 times out of 10, no. Maybe 1 time out of 10, yes. And so I'm just going to, probably continue on with that.
Jen was mild on the test that we took today.
Yes. What was everyone else?
I didn't do it.
I didn't have time to take it.
I can't take those tests because I know where I answer.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
pretty
outcome
easy to tell.
So-
Yeah.
There were some kind of strange questions though that I was like, I don't even know how to answer this. This is a very strange question.
I was mild as well.
You're full of malarkey.
No, he was full-fledged mock.
Because
Okay,
he
like
answered the questions skewed that way.
he did that on purpose, though. Jack Sparrow, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. You got the Ace of Cups, which says on it creativity, affirmation, self-love, new love. It says.
Ooh, like that.
So,
Holidays are coming up.
hold on. Let me pull this up here. It's going to be, I even got a little book with it, so it's towards the back. There we go. So your Ace of Cups means entering the teacup suit. Our angelic honeybee serves as a provider of light, descending from the heavens as a steady pour of life-giving brew overflows your teacup. The lotus blossoms below symbolize the awakening of the human spirit. Intuition and creativity are at work here, inspiring us to embrace a new love, which promises to fill our hearts and fulfill our wishes.
Nice.
Thank you.
Do mine, but don't.
I will
have to read
Venmo
the whole
you.
description.
Oh wait, are you
25
charging for
cents.
tarot readings?
I think it costs.
That's for the
25
guessing the
cents.
weight. That's for guessing the weight. But...
Oh, that's guessing weight.
You
Oh.
want me to guess your weight, Jerome?
No. I said I'll
Yeah, let's
tarot
guess each
reading.
other's weight on the
I
line.
don't.
I want to wait guess.
You want to wait guess for yourself, Jen?
Actually, Anthony, I would like yours too. I want to compare yours with Brooks.
Like, you
All
want
right,
to
everybody,
guess
we're
my
gonna
weight?
watch Anthony get fired on the live.
Who am I guessing? Am I guessing
Yeah.
weight?
Yeah, me.
How tall are you first, Jen?
5'7.5".
You
Okay.
short piece of shit. Okay. Let's see. 5'7". You probably weigh. I'm gonna guess 147.
I was gonna say 145.
In high school, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, fine.
Okay, sorry. 100. Sorry.
160.
No, I weighed 145 in high school. So
Okay.
I am much more than 145.
So then 160.
I'm about 168.
I'm
That
about
was
the
my
same.
second guess.
So, I'm about the same as you. So
Okay.
Now
yeah.
we guess how old Jen is.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
I did not say I'll guess your age.
I know that one, and I don't believe
Well,
it's
that one's public.
yeah.
Jen, okay. Anybody else want their tarot read?
Nope. I'm
Quickly,
good.
just pull a card. You don't have to
you have to
read
go,
the whole
because
It's
description.
past your time, Brooke.
Yeah, I gotta go.
We
All
gotta
right,
go.
bye.
Pull a card.
See you guys.
Pull a card. You want me to pull it for you, Anthony?
Oh wait, we're staying on.
You're the seven. You're the seven of buttons, which is coins.
What
Like
does that
little
mean?
buttons here. Okay, cool. See
Yeah.
you all. Not next week. We are not
Yeah,
meeting next week.
won't be
It's
here next
Halloween.
week.
We're going to be doing Halloween things,
Yeah.
and that will conclude Scary 101. Next time we meet, we will have a new 101 topic, completely different. No sweat off. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment our video, take
Join
our
our
classes.
classes.
We don't really teach you how to be a Machiavellian coach. We'll teach you how to be an ICF coach.
An
Essentially,
ethical coach.
it tells you to keep working hard, Anthony, and it's.
I
gonna
don't work hard at all.
fail.
I will see you guys later. Goodbye.